My name is Shaoey Chapman. I was adopted from China when I was 7 months old. I'm currently a sophomore at the University of Alabama, and I'm studying business finance, and I'm a cheerleader. Roll Tide.
Hi, I'm Shaoey Chapman. I was adopted from China when I was 8 months old. I'm currently in my second year of my Master's of Social Work at the University of Alabama, and I am not a cheerleader at Alabama, but still Roll Tide.
For me, adoption is a blessing, but it comes with obviously hardships and obstacles. And looking back for me, it has been such a blessing in my life.
For me, adoption is beautiful and hard and all the things wrapped together. It's very complicated. It's not the same for everybody. Everyone's adoption story is so vastly different. People would say things about like how I was different, but I think that was helpful to me to realize like, oh, I'm different than everyone else and that's okay. I don't look like my family, but they still are my family.
Even just a simple saying of, I look like my mom in this picture, that's just not something I can relate to because I was adopted, but it is a part of my story and it's beautiful.
A lot of Asian Americans, were raised by Asian parents, and so they have this thing called a third culture where they have blended native culture, their ethnic culture, with the culture of the place that they grew up. But adoptees have an even different third culture that not a lot of people can talk about because we were raised by people who do not look like us, and so our culture growing up was very, very different than the people who look like us in the same country. However, I think that gives us an opportunity to celebrate a lot of different cultures in general, and we get to decide that for ourselves, which I think is a really freeing opportunity for a lot of adoptees.
I think a good thing to be conscious of if you are an adoptive parent is just each child has a different story and will feel different things. I know for me and Shaoey, we are sisters, but we experience and have different adoption experiences and kind of how we process that.
I think a lot of conceptions of adoption are love is enough, right? And while love is so important, that unconditional love can also blind parents to the fact that our experiences are very different, and a lot of identity problems can arise with a lot of adoptees. And so I think that you want to love them through that, but you also want to have that open conversation about being adopted, but be very open and about the fact that they are adopted and that their experiences are going to be different than yours. I think it's important for parents to remember to not forget that their biological kids need them as much as their adopted kids do in very different ways. Adopted kids obviously have different needs than biological kids when it comes to trauma and attachment and all of the psychological things that I could talk about for forever, but I think it's important to also take care of your biological kids in the same way.
It's okay to not have those answers. I probably will never know my story and why or how, what the reasoning was. I would tell my younger self to trust God, trust His plans for the bigger picture of it all.
I think saying that you don't have all the answers is really good. And I think it's important that all of us understand that not knowing is okay, but wanting to know is also okay.
My faith really has grown to really just look at the bigger picture of it all and know that there is purpose and there's beauty in the brokenness.
Because of a lot of trust issues, I had a hard time even with a simple relationship with God growing up. A couple years into high school, I started to think about my adoption story a little bit differently and started thinking, oh, I think I'm more like Moses and his mother, where she put him in a basket to save his life. And that ended up being God's plan for him. And that sort of turned my adoption story at a 180, but it also turned my view of God sort of at a 180, and it sort of opened my heart to be okay, maybe God does have a plan, and maybe I should trust Him. And so even though I may not trust Him completely, that hope is something that I have to continuously hold on to even to this day.